Okay, Saxon 4 Math students, we are ready for lesson 94. We're going to be doing two-step word problems, so we're really going to have to do some thinking today. Let's start with the new concepts and the examples. Example 1. Jim is 5 years older than Ali. Ali is 2 years younger than Blanca. Blanca is 9 years old. How old is Jim? Okay, when I have a problem like this, I kind of like to set it up like algebra, okay, and I like to use letters to stand for things, and I'm going to use letters for names. So I've got J for Jim, A for Ollie, and B for Blanca. So let's start out writing what we know. Jim is, or equals, 5 years older than Ollie. So a math problem I could write would be J equals 5 plus A, okay? Does that make sense? Jim equals 5 years older than Ollie. Okay, now that doesn't help us yet, but it will. Okay, Ollie is 2 years younger than Blanca. So I could say A for Ollie is, and now I would have to say however old Blanca is, minus 2 to get 2 years younger, right? So A equals B minus 2. And now they're telling us that Blanca is 9 years old, so I know that B equals 9. Now, any problem that I have that had a B in it, I can go back and plug in 9 where I had the B. That means I have to rewrite it. So here's one that had a B in it. So I can rewrite this as A equals, and instead of writing the B, I can write what? 9 minus 2. And all of a sudden, I know 9 minus 2 is 7, so Ali is 7 years old. Okay? So now I know what A equals. So this problem has A in it. Let's rewrite it, and we're going to plug in 7 instead of the A. Okay? So J equals 5 plus, and I know A equals 7. So here we have it. J equals 5 plus 7 is 12. So Jim is 12 years old. Okay, and that was the actual question that we had to answer. How old is Jim? Jim is 12 years old. So the next time you have a problem like this, try it algebra style. Okay, let's look at example 2. Javon paid for 5 pounds of apples with a $10 bill. His change was $6. What was the cost of each pound of apples? Now this would be a fairly simple problem. It would be a one-step problem if it just said how much did he pay for the apples, but it doesn't. Okay? Let's first figure out how much he did pay for the 5 pounds of apples. He paid with the 10, he got back 6. 10 minus 6, that gives us $4, right? That's how much he paid. But that was for 5 pounds. Okay, now to find out the cost for each pound, what we're going to do is take that $4 and divide it among the 5 pounds. So take a look at this. $4 divided by 5 pounds. Okay, here we go. I'm going to use my little curtain to keep it simple. Before we start, when you are dealing with money, always bring your decimal point straight up to start with. Go ahead and get that out of the way. That'll make it much simpler. Okay, so now how many groups of 5 can we get out of 4? 0, right? Because 0 times 5 is 0. I subtract, I get 4. Anytime I do the subtraction step, I know I'm okay if my subtraction answer is less than what's on the outside here. Okay? So subtract. Next step is to bring down. So I'm going to bring down my 0. Now I'm looking at 40. How many groups of 5 can I get out of 40? It's 8, isn't it? Because 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract, bring down. How many groups of 5 can I get out of 0? 0, because 0 times 5 is 0. I subtract. And look, there's nothing left to bring down. My answer is on top. I just need to add a dollar sign. And so the answer to the question, what was the cost of each pound of apples? The answer is they were 80 cents per pound. Okay, not so bad. All right, example 3. One of the foods that Marabella feeds her pet rabbit is 2 ounces of lettuce each day. In how many days does her rabbit eat a pound of lettuce? Okay, let's stop right there. We know that a pound is 16 ounces. So counting by twos, how many days would it take us to get to 16 pounds? We'll count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. That's 8 days, right? Now, okay, that's the answer to the first question. Now, how many pounds of lettuce does the rabbit eat in 4 months? Okay, so 4 months, we're going to average, the average month is about 30 days. So if we say 30 days times 4, that's 120 days. And I know every group of 8 days gives me a pound. Okay, so I'm going to take 120 days divided by groups of 8. Let's see what we get. Divided by 8. How many groups of 8 can I get out of 1? Can't get anything. Okay, if you need to put that 0 again as your placeholder, that's fine. If not, let's now look at 2 digits. We were looking at just 1. That didn't work. Now let's look at 2. How many groups of 8 could I get out of 12? Just 1, right? Because 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract. Bring down. How many groups of 8 could I get out of 40? 5, because 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract. There's nothing left to bring down. This is my answer. Let's see how I should label it. How many pounds of lettuce does the rabbit eat in 4 months? The answer is 15 pounds. Example 4. Point B represents which number on this number line? Now my favorite method for this is a guess and check. I like to guess what the tick marks stand for and count and check it and make sure that that holds true. So let's play around and pretend that these count for 10 and let's see if it would work. Okay, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. Uh-oh, the tick marks do not stand for 10. Well, maybe they stand for 20. Okay, so here's 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. Uh-oh, that doesn't work either. Let's try 25s. Okay, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200. That worked out. The tick marks stand for 75, and I have to tell what point B stands for, and I remember saying 125, 150, 175 is the answer. And they went through a really complicated thing, but I love that guess and check strategy for working with number lines. Just see if it works out, and then figure out what the point stands for. Okay, example 5. Okay, we have some more algebra. If y equals 2 times x plus 1, then what is y when x equals 3? So the first step is to just on your paper write down the problem. So I'm going to write y equals 2x plus 1. Y equals 2x plus 1. It's very important for you to know that if you have a number and then a letter next to it, it means you multiply those. Okay, 2 times x, whatever this number is. It means 2 sets of x, okay? 2 x's, if you will, which means multiply. Now they're telling us that x equals 3. So now we get to rewrite this problem. And instead of writing the x, guess what we're going to write? 3. Okay? So y equals 2 times 3. Sometimes instead of doing an x, They put a dot, okay, and that means multiply. That's an important algebra trick you need to know. Plus 1, okay? So this was together, 2x. I'm going to multiply this first, okay? So y equals 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1. And hey, now it's easy to see that y equals 7. Cool beans. Not bad. Now then, look here. They're going to give us a different problem. So what is y when x is 5? Okay, so this time I have to rewrite the problem. Instead of writing x was equal to 3, this time they want to know what if it's 5. So I have to do 2 times 5 plus 1. Okay, here we go. Y equals 2 times 5 is 10. I bring down the rest of the problem, and if x equals 5, then y equals 11. Fabulous. I even put it in a little table. We had done the problem if x equals 3. We had done the problem if x equals 5. And so what was missing was, well, what if x equals 4? Okay? And without doing that problem, we could see that, okay, 7, and this was missing, and then 11, that 9 would fit the pattern here without even having to do the problem. Okay, here's a quick one. What is y when x equals 10? And explain how you know. And to explain, you would actually have to work it out. So if I do 2x plus 1 equals y, so I'm going to go ahead and write the problem again. It doesn't matter if I put y equals at the beginning or if I do it at the end. Okay, I could write it like this, or I could write it like this, like they just did. And now they're saying, what if x equals 10? So I would do, okay, 2 times 10 plus 1 equals y. 2 times 10 is 20 plus 1 equals y. So hey, if x equals 10, 21 is what y equals. So how do I know this? You can say, I know y equals 21 if x equals 10 because when I plug in 10 for x and work the problem, y does, boy, my pen's messing up, equal 21. Whoops. Try that again. So it's important for you to know if this were on an end of the year test and they were asking you to do another problem and to prove how you knew, you would have to explain it in words, okay? And you can actually do the problem and plug in the value for x. Okay, let's do some more lesson practice. Kim paid for 4 pounds of peaches with a $5 bill. Hey, this is like that apple problem earlier, isn't it? She got $3 back. What was the cost of each pound of peaches? So do you remember what we did earlier? She paid with a 5, she got 3 back. That means she paid $2 for 4 pounds of peaches, okay? So let's take that $2 and divide it up among the 4 pounds. Make sure that's correct. Yep. And remember, in dividing with money, the first step is to bring that decimal point up. Okay. Now we just kind of ignore the dollar sign and the decimal point. Just pretend like the real problem looks like this, okay? And that's more familiar to you. Okay, so let's try it. How many groups of 4 could I get out of 2? I can't get a group of 4 out of just 2. So now let's look at 2 digits. Let's look at 20. How many groups of 4 could I get out of 20? 5, because 5 times 4 is 20. subtract, bring down. How many groups of 4 can I get out of 0? 0, because 0 times 4 is 0. Subtract. There's nothing left to bring down. So how much did each pound of peaches cost? 50 cents per pound. Okay? The perimeter of this square is 12 inches. What is the area of the square? Okay, I know that perimeter, we have to go all the way around, so that's 4 sides. So I'm going to take that 12 inches and divide it equally among 4 sides. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I know the length is 3 and the width is 3 inches. I know area equals length times width. Okay, so if the length is 3 and the width is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. But remember, measuring area, it's measured in squares. So you have to say 9 square inches or 9 inches squared. Okay. Orlando is 10 years younger than, I'm going to say Jihan. And Jihan is 2 years older than Shaniqua. If Orlando is 13 years old, how old is Shaniqua? Okay, do you remember what we did earlier with our names and ages thing? We did a little bit of algebra. Let's start by writing what we know. I'm going to let O stand for Orlando, G for Jihan, and S for Shaniqua. So I know that O equals Jihan minus 10, right? O equals Jihan minus 10 years. I know that Jihan is 2 years older than Shaniqua. Okay, so Jihan equals Shaniqua plus 2 years. Okay, because he's 2 years older than whatever Shaniqua is. And finally, they tell me that Orlando's 13. That's going to help. I have to know one of these values. So I know O equals 13. Okay, now let's go back to the problem that actually had an O in it. This one right here. And we're going to copy it again. And we're going to plug in 13 for the value of O. Okay? So I'm going to come over here, and instead of writing O equals, I'm going to write 13 equals G minus 10. Now if it helps you, you can do it this way. G minus 10 equals 13. And this looks like problems that we've dealt with before, okay? And what you do, you take both of these values, you take 10 and 13 and add them together, and we get 23. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. Would it make sense? Let's see, 23 is 23 minus 10, 13. We're seeing if that's reasonable. Yes, it is. So I know that G equals 23. That's how old Jihan is. Now I can figure out Shaniqua right here. I'm going to plug in the value for G, which we found out was 23. I'm going to change colors to keep it straight. So instead of writing G here, I'm going to write 23 equals, and I still don't know S, plus 2. And again, if it helps you to have what the equation equals at the end, let's do it that way. So S plus 2 equals 23. So some number plus 2 would give me a total of 23. This is a case where you need to find the difference. So 23 minus 2 gives us what? 21. So let's check it out. Does 21 plus 2 equal 23? Yes, it checks out. It makes perfect sense. So I know now that S equals 21. So that was Shaniqua's age, and that was the answer to the question. Now let's look at D. We've got another number line. It's asking us to figure out what point N represents. So guess and check. Let's just start with tens. 410, 420, 430, 440, 450. Nope, it's not tens. Okay, let's try 20s. 420, 440, 460, 480, 500. Hey, our tick marks do stand for 20. So let's remember what we counted when we got to N, if we did it by 20s. Okay, 400, 420, 440, 460. Okay, here's some more algebra. If y equals 3x plus 2, what is y when x is 4? So we're going to write down this little problem first. Y equals 3x plus 2. And remember, this really means 3 times x, okay? And they say, what does it equal if x is 4? So now we're going to rewrite it, and instead of writing the x, we're going to write 4. So y equals, remember this means 3 times 4 plus 2. But I'm going to do this part first. Remember, what's in parentheses means do me first. And I really do have to do this first. If I didn't and I did 4 plus 2, that would not work out. That's not what was meant to happen. It was meant to multiply 3 of whatever x is first. So y equals 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2. Look, y equals 14. And if they were to ask you, how do you know this is true? You can say, if I plug in the value of 4 for x, it does work out when I calculate it to equal 14. Okay, Mr. Simmons is 5 feet 10 inches tall. How many inches is 5 feet 10 inches? So let's just look at the feet first. We know there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So how many inches would be in 5 feet? We have to do 5 times 12. If you've got that one memorized, you know it's 60. Plus this 10 inches, that would be how many inches in all? 70 inches. Okay, we need to go back and check 93 written practice. So hit pause as you check 1 through 7. Hit pause as you check 8 through 12. And hit pause as you check 13 through 30. And we're going to go through the mental math. And here's a new trick. The problems say 5 times a number, but what we're going to do is think 10 times that number and then divide it in half. Okay? So for this one, think 10 times 16 is 160, right? But divide that in half and you get 80. For this one, think 10 times 24. Then cut that in half, 120. 10 times 28 equals, cut that in half, 140. 10 times 64 equals, divide that in half, 320. Okay, here's some interesting information. A stone is a British unit of weight equal to 14 pounds. 2 stone is 28 pounds. 3 stone is 42 pounds, and so on. How many pounds is 10 stone? Well, if 1 is 14 pounds, think 10 times 14. You've got it, 140 pounds. Lydia walked 1 kilometer in 608 seconds. About how many minutes did it take her to walk 1 kilometer? Since it said about, I'm going to round off this 608 to just 600. Now, how many groups, if we did 600 divided by 60, because there's 60 seconds in a minute, can you imagine what that would look like on paper? I know we're supposed to do this mentally, but here's what you're imagining in your head, okay? This is what it should look like. So how many groups of 60 could you get out of 60? Your 1 would go right here, wouldn't it? Because 1 times 60 is 60. And then we also have to have a placeholder here. How many groups of 60 could I get out of 0? 0. So how many minutes would that be? It's about 10 minutes, okay? Let's get ready for some calculation. 10% of 40, so think 40 divided by 10. That's 4, right? 4 times 10, 40, plus 5, 45, divided by 5, plus 9 for our final answer. Some good old Roman numerals. Write this in our number system. We know that x means 10. Okay, now let's see what else is left. We've got a 1 and a v. Now we know the v is 5, but if a 1 comes in front of it, that means 1 less than 5. So it means a 10 and a 4, and that would be 14. Problem solving. Here we go. Find the next 5 numbers in this sequence, then describe the sequence in words. We're going from 64 to 32 to 16 to 8. I hope that it's easy for you to see that we are having these each time. Half of 64 is 32. Half of 32 is 16. Half of 16 is 8. Half of 8 is 4. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 2 is 1. Now what's half of 1? Take one apple, divide it in half, and you've got 1/2. Now here's the tricky part. What's half of a half? It's a fourth, isn't it? Okay, to just show that to you real quickly. Okay, here was your half. And if I have that half, look what I have. I'll go ahead and do that, even though we don't even have this. Half of it would be this. And that is 1/4. So half of a half is 1/4. And we are finished.